Batgirl Annual Number 1, written by Gail Simone, art by Admira Wijaya and Daniel Sampier. Uh, Open up with an entire building and seemingly the entire block of Gotham just going up in flames. And Batgirl's there. Turns out it's some arsonists, and she's beating them up because they're all wearing masks and have weapons for setting a building on fire. But then during the fight, Batgirl remarks, like, these guys, they're not like arsonists. They're actually just homeless people who have been coerced into committing arson. And because of that, I don't really want to hurt them that badly because, like, they're coerced. So instead, as one of them attacks her, she grabs his weapon and says, like, hey, there are still people in this building. I can hear a baby crying. You guys get out of here and I'll deal with you later. And they're like, okay. So at that point, she goes and finds the mother of the child and it's just like, okay, you have to wear this oxygen mask in order to keep on walking. Otherwise, the smoke's going to knock you out. And I'll get you and your baby out of here. And so she takes the both of them. Seems like everything is pretty much consumed in flames. So she busts out a window and saves them both. And during this point, Catwoman's watching on. And she's like, man, what a show off. So then we go to Commissioner Gordon, who is doing a surprise visit at Harrowwood State Penitentiary, which is apparently just some prison outside of Gotham. And he's there to specifically meet with one prisoner. And the guard who's leading him around is like, Commissioner, with all due respect, she's kind of stupid, mute. And Gordon's like, okay, you're a creep and kind of a dick. And I will bring down consequences on you if you ever talk about an inmate like that again. So they go to this person's cell, and lo and behold, it is the Talon that attacked Batgirl during the Night of the Owls back in like issue 8 or 9. And she's held up here, and Gordon's basically like, okay, here's the thing. We know that you were recruited by the Court of Owls. And we know that they hurt you and like took you as a child, so it's not entirely your fault. But we just want some information from you in terms of like, where are they now and how we can deal with them if you have any of that. So knowing that she doesn't really speak, he brings along a pack of crayons and a notebook. I'm just like, maybe you could write down something like any faces, locations, anything like that. She still doesn't respond, just glaring at them. And the officer starts giving her a hard time. And the commissioner's like, no. Like, look, I apologize. We'll get an escort to take you to Blackgate Prison. Goodbye. So commissioner leaves, and the officer's like, making me look stupid in front of the commissioner. I'm taking away your food. You're going hungry tonight. And as he leaves the room, the Talon, who I know her name later on is, I believe, Strix. It does not give that in this book, but because there will be other Talons, I'm just going to call her Strix. Okay? So Strix picks up the crowns and was like, oh boy, crowns, I love them. Like, she's very ecstatic about these. But before she can even draw or write anything, Catwoman comes in and it's like, hey, I was hired to bust you out. Let's go. So later in the Gotham slums, Batgirl's meeting up with a guy, Ricky, who from last arc lost a leg in a fight against Nightfall. And she's like, hey, Ricky, I know a bunch of homeless people are setting fire to buildings. What do you know about this? And he's like, I ain't telling you nothing about nothing. I won't say a word, as he takes out a piece of chalk from his pocket and writes on a nearby dumpster the word owls. And Batgirl's like, crap. I can't deal with the owls. Batman could barely deal with the owls. How am I supposed to deal with the owls? And as they're talking, Ricky's brother shows up, who's also, criminal. And she's like, I can't risk Ricky getting in trouble because of me. What do I do? And she just leans in and gives him a kiss on the lips. And then is like, all right, see you around, babe. And Ricky's brother's like, dude, are you hooking up with Batgirl? And Ricky's like, you know it. So there's that. Meanwhile, as Catwoman's trying to get Strix out of prison, a guard shows up and the guard's like, hey, Catwoman, you can't be in here. And before literally anything can happen, Strix just attacks the guard and he fires off one shot, doesn't connect, and she starts clawing his face off with her bare hands. And as she picks up his nightstick about to beat him, Catwoman chimes in like, hey, if you kill him, things are going to be a lot worse for everybody. I'm sure he deserves it because he's kind of a dick, but like, maybe we can just go. And Strix is about to turn on Catwoman. Catwoman's like, I'm trying to get you out of here, so maybe don't attack me. And so she drops the nightstick and they both make their plan to get out of there because, of course, they heard the guards heard the other gunshot. So Batgirl heads to an area where a bunch of homeless people are, and she's like starting to go Batman on them, like, tell me what you know. And they all start just freaking out because obviously they don't know anything. And Batgirl's like, ah, crap. Now, I can't intimidate these people. They're not criminals. They're just homeless. And she hands out of her utility belt like a stack of 20s, being like, here, go find somewhere safe to stay tonight and don't set fire to any buildings, no matter what nobody tells you. And then this old guy shows up, clearly not homeless. Or, I don't know, it's kind of 50-50. He has nice glasses, though. And he steps up, he's like, hey, I know what you're looking for, and I know where you can find it. So he gives some info to Batgirl. We cut back to Catwoman and Strix, who have taken some guards' uniforms and managed to escape the place. They make it to a nearby getaway car. And Catwoman's like, hey, I'll take you to your family, okay? So let's just hop in the car. And Strix holds a piece of paper as she scribbled on, saying, like, I have no family. They're all dead. Same with my friends. I have no friends. And Catwoman's like, okay, you made me feel bad. And so she pinky promises with Strix that now me and you are friends. And I'm sure that's not going to come up to play at all. So Batgirl gets a hint that it's a guy named Mr. Parsons. Just as a rich dude who's got like a super loaded security system. And she's just waiting for anything to sign that he's the one who's doing it. And she recounts how she did her research on the Talons and the Owls and stuff like that after they attacked. And she discovered the one that attacked her was, her family was firebombed during World War II, and she was brought into Haley's Circus and yada, yada, yada. And meanwhile, Catwoman has arrived at Mr. Parsons' office, and Talon Strix now has her full Talon outfit on. And it's just like, hey, here she is. Are we all cool now? And Parsons, who's out in this greenhouse gardening, is like, oh yeah, no, we're totally cool. By the way, let me tell you my secret plan. We're setting fire to buildings that still have people in them, so that way we can pin it all on Bruce Wayne, who's doing his whole Gotham revitalization project. And then we're going to get him for murder and racketeering. And Batgirl's like, oh geez, that explains something. And Catwoman's like, what? I'm not helping you murder people. That's outside the contract. Just give me my money and we're done. And Parsons is like, I don't want to do that. Talon, kill her. So now Strix is attacking Catwoman. Batgirl sees all this, busts in, and is just like, all right, it's 2 against 1. We can do this. We can beat a single Talon. And then Parsons like, I got 3 more Talons over here. And it's like, all right, well, we're kind of dead, aren't we? And so there's a brief little thing where Batgirl's like, hey, Catwoman, is it true about you and Green Arrow? And she's like, I'll never tell. I don't remember that story. I have no idea what they're talking about. But regardless, yeah. So they start fighting, but they are clearly outmatched. And Batgirl the whole way through is just like, there's no way we're going to win this. We could barely take on 1 Talon. 4 of them were screwed. And the fight continues on that much to the point where they're both being held with the Talon's knives against their throat. And Parsons is like, go ahead and kill him. I have gardening to do. And Strix is just standing there off to the side. And Catwoman's like, Strix, or, random lady woman, they're going to burn families much like they burned your family. Are you sure that that's what you want? And, she's friends with Catwoman now. So then she pokes out the eyes of one of the Talons that's holding Catwoman hostage. Batgirl manages to get the upper hand on her Talon. And now it's 3 against 3, and, the fight seems more even. They're able to take out the Talons more. And once all the Talons go down, Parsons comes out with a gun saying, hey, I got a liquid nitrogen bullet that can take out this stupid Talon that betrayed me. So you guys better back off if she's really your friend. But then Parsons gets a call on his phone and is like, hey, yeah, I have her right here. What? Huh? I got this under control, though. Okay. And he hangs up the phone and he's like, well, the Court of Owls just fired me. And he blows his own brains out. And that's where we leave that. So at that point, he's like, okay, police are on their way. The Talons see the Parsons killed himself. They just bail. The only ones left are Catwoman, Batgirl, and Strix. And they're just like, okay, what do we do now? And Batgirl's like, you have to take care of this Talon. Batgirl's like, what do you know? I don't want that. And he's like, look, we're friends. She's a good one. She could have killed us, but she saved us. You have to save her. I'll go deal with the police, okay? And so it's like, all right, fine. I promise. I will help take care of this Talon. So then Batgirl's like, Okay, well, we got to go. We can make it up to the roof if we do it. And she's like, by the way, what do I call you? And we see uh, that in chalk down on the ground, she's drawn a picture of a little rainbow and she wrote out, "My name is Mary." So her actual name is Mary. I think she goes by Strix later on. I could be wrong. I might just be imagining something else, but it says, "See what happens to Mary in Birds of Prey." So that's where she'll be showing up. I think this was good. I think the art wise, especially in the first half of the book with like all the fires and stuff like that, looks fantastic. Like the lighting on that is just beautiful, and they got all these particle effects. It looks great. It doesn't quite hold up throughout the entirety of the book. It's a little bit hit or miss in some places, but it isn't ever bad. The art's pretty good throughout. In terms of introducing this character as someone who's going to be showing up again, I think it did a good job of showing, okay, here's how the heel turn happened, here's why they're now working with Batgirl and or maybe Catwoman. It did a fine job with that. My only real complaint here is that once again, and I know that for these annuals where you keep it all contained, it's necessary, but once again, we have a villain who's just like, by the way, here's my entire master plan and I'll kill you now because you know it. It's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. It was interesting to see him kill himself once the Court of Owls said, like, no, you brought too much attention on things, like, you're done. I think that overall, the positives outweigh the negatives by far. So I'm going to give this a 7. I think it is decently told. It's weird how, for something that's required reading in Birds of Prey, they decided to put it in a Batgirl annual, but I guess, we can't always pick where the annuals are going to end up. So 7 for this, and we'll see what happens to this Talon in the future.